Chosen one. Pause for a moment, because something about your life is no longer blending in and you've been feeling it. There's a reason strangers are drawn to you without explanation. There's a reason your spirit wakes before the world does, as if something unseen is calling your name. Anointed one. These are not coincidences, these are signals. You are not like the rest, and the signs are becoming clear. This message did not find you randomly. It arrived at an appointed time, just as it is written in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1. There is a time for every purpose under heaven. And right now you are stepping into a moment of awareness where what once felt confusing will begin to make sense. You may have questioned why your intuition speaks so loudly, why your presence shifts rooms, why even children and animals respond to you differently. But what you've been sensing is real. Something within you is awakening, and it cannot be ignored any longer. Chosen one. Heaven marks people before the world understands them. If this message resonates, stay close and consider subscribing, because not every word is meant for everyone, but this one is meant for you. Now listen carefully, because what you're about to uncover will reveal exactly why you've always been different. Chosen one. Something has been shifting inside you lately, hasn't it? Not loudly, not in a way you can easily explain, but deep enough that you can't ignore it anymore. It shows up in quiet moments when you walk into a room and instantly feel the atmosphere when someone speaks, and you already sense what they're not saying when your intuition whispers something, and later you realize it was right again. And if you're honest, there have been times you asked yourself, why am I like this? Why do I feel so different from everyone else? Anointed one, hear this clearly. There is nothing wrong with you. You were never meant to be like the rest. You didn't become different, you always were. While most people learn to blend in to adjust themselves to fit expectations, something in you has always resisted that. Even when you tried to belong, there was a part of you that stayed separate, aware, observing. I remember sitting in a place full of people, laughter all around, conversations flowing naturally, yet inside I felt like I was watching life instead of fully being part of it. Back then I thought it was loneliness, but now I understand it was awareness. It was the beginning of seeing beyond what others see. And that's what's happening to you now. You're not disconnecting from the world, you're waking up to it. Chosen one. One of the clearest signs is this invisible pull you carry. People are drawn to you and you don't even try. Strangers open up to you, conversations go deeper than expected, and somehow you find yourself in moments that feel orchestrated rather than random. You've probably wondered why people feel comfortable telling you things they don't tell others. The truth is, you carry a presence that makes people feel seen. Not because of what you say, but because of what you are. But listen carefully, just because someone is drawn to you does not mean they are meant for you. This is where many chosen ones get tested. Some people come into your life because they need healing, some come because they are curious, and some are sent as distractions. This is why your discernment matters more than your emotions. There will be moments when something feels off, even when everything looks fine. No clear reason, no visible sign, just a quiet inner signal telling you to pay attention. Do not ignore that voice. I've ignored it before, choosing logic over instinct, convincing myself I was overthinking, and later realized that what I felt was not confusion, it was protection. Your intuition is not random, it is guidance. It doesn't always explain itself, but it always knows, and the more you ignore it, the louder life will have to speak to get your attention. Chosen one. You don't just notice things, you feel them. You feel shifts in energy, you sense when something is not aligned, you pick up on emotions that are not even yours. And yes, it can be overwhelming. There are days when being around certain people drains you without explanation, when environments feel heavy, even though nothing obvious is wrong. You are told you're too sensitive, but that's not the truth. You are not too sensitive. You are aware. You are responding to things others have learned to ignore, and this awareness was not given to you by accident. It is training. Because where you're going, you will not be able to rely only on what you see. You will have to trust what you feel before understanding catches up. That kind of life requires a deeper connection, a different level of perception. So now you're standing at a quiet decision point. You can continue doubting yourself, questioning what you feel, trying to fit into spaces that were never designed for you, or you can begin to trust what has been guiding you all along. Because the moment you start listening, everything begins to shift. Your relationships begin to change, your environment starts to adjust, and things that once confused you begin to reveal their meaning. What you're experiencing right now is not random, it's alignment beginning to take form, and this is only the first layer of what's being revealed to you. Chosen one, there is something else you've been experiencing, and this one is harder to explain to anyone who hasn't lived it. You don't just feel different around people, you see patterns before they happen. Situations unfold in front of you and somehow you already know where they are going. It's not guesswork and it's not luck. It's that quiet knowing that speaks before logic has time to catch up. You've probably had moments where you sensed something was about to shift, and then it did. Or you felt strongly about a decision without having all the information and later realized you were right. This is not coincidence. This is the sharpening of your inner guidance. While others panic in uncertain situations, you notice something about yourself. There is a calm that rises in you even when things are unstable. It doesn't mean you don't feel pressure. It means something deeper in you is not shaken by it. You can stand in the middle of confusion and still feel anchored. That kind of stability does not come from experience alone. It comes from connection. It comes from being aligned with something that sees beyond the moment. Most people react to what is happening, but you respond to what is forming. That is why you often feel out of sync with how others handle life. They are reacting to the surface while you are reading what is underneath. There will be times when this ability isolates you. You may see truth in situations where others remain blind. You may sense intentions that others overlook. And when you try to explain it, people may not understand you, or worse, they may dismiss it. This is where many chosen ones begin to doubt themselves. They start questioning what they feel because it doesn't match what everyone else sees. But listen carefully, your clarity is not dependent on validation. Just because others cannot see it does not mean it isn't real. You were not designed to follow the crowd. You were designed to see what the crowd misses. I remember a time when I ignored that inner signal because I wanted to believe what I was seeing on the outside. Everything looked right. Everything sounded right, but something inside me kept resisting. I pushed past it because I didn't want to seem unreasonable. Later, when everything unfolded exactly the way I had felt it would, I realized something that changed how I move through life. What you feel early is often what others discover too late. That realization will either become your protection or your regret, depending on whether you listen. This awareness does not only show up in big moments, it shows up in the smallest decisions. You might feel the need to change your plans suddenly and later realize you avoided something you were not meant to encounter. You might meet someone for the first time and instantly feel a strong connection knowing they will play a role in your life before anything has even happened. These moments may seem small, but they are not random. They are signals, and the more you pay attention to them, the clearer they become. Chosen one. This is where your life begins to separate into two paths. One path is the familiar one, where you ignore what you feel and follow what is expected. The other is the path where you begin to trust your inner guidance even when it doesn't make sense yet. The first path keeps you comfortable, but it also keeps you limited. The second path may feel uncertain at first, but it leads you into alignment. And alignment changes everything. There is also something you need to understand about this level of awareness. It comes with responsibility. When you can sense what others cannot, you are also responsible for how you respond to it. Not every truth you see needs to be spoken. Not every situation you understand needs your involvement. Sometimes your role is not to intervene, but to observe and move accordingly. This is where wisdom begins to grow. Knowing when to act and when to step back is part of your development. You will also start to notice that your energy affects the environments you enter. Some places will feel lighter when you are present, while others will resist you without explanation. Some people will feel drawn to you, while others will feel uncomfortable around you for reasons they cannot explain. This is not about personality, it is about alignment. Your presence reveals things, and not everyone is ready for that. Some will appreciate it, others will avoid it. Both responses are indicators, not judgments. And as this awareness deepens, you will begin to trust yourself in a way you never have before, not out of arrogance, but out of understanding. You will stop needing constant confirmation from others. You will stop second-guessing what you feel. You will begin to move with quiet confidence, knowing that what guides you is not random. It is intentional. But this is where the process becomes more personal. Because as your awareness of others grows, so does your awareness of yourself. You begin to feel your own emotions more deeply. You begin to notice what affects you and why. And this is where many chosen ones face their next challenge, learning how to handle the depth of what they feel without becoming overwhelmed by it. Because what you're stepping into next is not just about understanding others or reading situations. It's about understanding yourself at a level most people never reach, and that changes everything. Chosen one, as your awareness of others begins to sharpen, something even deeper starts to happen within you. It's no longer just about what you sense around you, it becomes about what you feel inside yourself. Your emotions begin to carry more weight, more depth, more meaning than they used to. Situations that others brush off easily begin to affect you in ways you can't ignore. A simple conversation can stay with you longer than expected. A certain tone, a certain word, a certain energy can reach a place inside you that feels deeper than the moment itself. At first, this can feel confusing. You might wonder why you react so strongly to things that seem small on the surface. You might question why certain environments leave you feeling drained, while others bring you peace without any clear reason. This is where many chosen ones start to feel overwhelmed because no one taught you how to manage this level of emotional awareness. You were simply expected to handle it like everyone else, even though you are not experiencing life the same way as everyone else. There were moments in my own life when I couldn't explain why I felt heavy after being around certain people. Nothing obvious had happened, no arguments, no conflict, yet something inside me felt off. I used to think it was just mood or stress, but over time I realized I was picking up on things that were never spoken out loud. I was feeling what was present beneath the surface. And once I understood that, everything changed. I stopped blaming myself for being affected, and I started paying attention to what those feelings were trying to show me. Chosen one. Your emotions are not random. They are signals. They are responses to what your spirit is perceiving. When something feels right, it is not just comfort, it is alignment. When something feels wrong, it is not just discomfort, it is a warning. The problem is, if you ignore these signals long enough, you start to lose clarity. You begin to question your own responses. You begin to tolerate what you should have walked away from. And over time, That creates exhaustion. This is why you sometimes feel drained without understanding why. It is not because you are weak. It is because you are carrying more than what is visible. When you stay too long in environments that do not match your energy, it affects you. When you give your attention to people who are not aligned with you, it takes something from you. And if you are not careful, you begin to lose connection with yourself while trying to maintain connection with others. But here is where the shift begins. Once you understand that your sensitivity is a form of awareness, not a flaw, you start to move differently. You begin to protect your energy without feeling guilty about it. You start choosing your environments more carefully. You become more intentional with who you allow close to you, not out of fear, but out of understanding. Because you realize that not everything deserves your presence. There will be moments when you need to step away, even when others don't understand why. You may need time alone to reset, to clear your mind, to reconnect with yourself. And that is not isolation in a negative sense. That is restoration. Spending time away from noise, from constant interaction, from external pressure, allows you to hear yourself again. It allows your thoughts to settle and your energy to return to its natural state. Simple things begin to matter more than they used to. Being in quiet spaces, walking outside, taking time to reflect, even just sitting without distraction, starts to feel necessary instead of optional. These are not habits you are developing randomly. These are adjustments your life is making to support who you are becoming. You also begin to notice that your emotional awareness gives you an advantage in understanding others. You can recognize what people are feeling even when they don't express it clearly. You can sense when someone is struggling even if they try to hide it. This allows you to connect with people in a way that feels real and meaningful, not surface level. And that is why people often feel understood around you even if they cannot explain why. But with this ability comes a boundary you must learn. Just because you understand someone does not mean you are responsible for them. Just because you can feel what others feel does not mean you have to carry it. This is one of the hardest lessons for someone like you because your natural instinct is to help, to listen, to support. But if you do this without limits, you will exhaust yourself. You are not here to absorb everything around you. You are here to navigate it with awareness, and that means learning when to engage and when to step back, when to give and when to preserve, when to stay and when to leave. As you begin to understand this balance, something inside you stabilizes. You are no longer overwhelmed by what you feel because you know how to manage it. You stop seeing your emotional depth as a burden and you start recognizing it as part of your strength. It allows you to experience life more fully, to connect more deeply, and to move through situations with a level of clarity that others may never reach. And as this clarity grows, something else becomes more noticeable. It's not just how you feel or how you think. It's how your presence affects the world around you in ways that go beyond people and conversations. Because what's beginning to reveal itself next is not just internal, it's something that others can sense immediately, even without understanding it. Chosen one, as your inner world becomes clearer, something begins to shift in how the outer world responds to you. It's no longer just about what you feel or perceive, it's about how your presence is received before you even say a word. You start to notice that certain beings, the most instinctive and unfiltered ones, respond to you differently. Animals that are usually cautious come close without hesitation. Children who don't yet follow social rules look at you with a sense of comfort, sometimes even trust you immediately. These moments may seem small, but they are not random. They are reflections of something that exists beyond logic. Animals do not respond to titles, appearances, or social roles. They respond to energy. They sense calm tension, fear intention, all without needing explanation. And when they move toward you instead of away from you, it tells you something about what you carry. There is a steadiness in your presence, something that does not feel threatening, something that feels grounded. Even the ones that are usually distant seem to lower their guard around you. You may have noticed a dog that rarely approaches strangers sitting near you, or a cat choosing your space over others without reason. These are not accidents, these are responses to what you emit naturally. Children respond in a similar way, but with a different kind of clarity. They are not yet shaped by expectations or conditioned responses. They react based on what they feel in the moment. When a child looks at you, smiles at you, or feels safe near you without knowing you, it is not based on logic. It is based on recognition. They sense something familiar, something calm, something that does not create resistance in them. And that is something that cannot be forced or imitated. It is either there or it is not. There was a moment I remember clearly. I was in a place where no one knew me, just passing through, and a child walked up to me, stood quietly, and stayed close without saying anything. The parent apologized, thinking it was strange, but I understood something in that moment. The child wasn't reacting to who I was on the surface. They were responding to something deeper that they could feel but not explain. That moment stayed with me because it confirmed something I had been sensing for a long time. Your presence speaks before you do. Chosen one. This is not about being special in a way that separates you from others. It is about being aligned in a way that becomes noticeable. When your internal state is stable, when your intentions are clear, when your energy is not scattered, it creates a kind of consistency that others can feel. Most people carry tension they are not aware of. They carry conflict, distraction, uncertainty. But when someone like you enters a space, that contrast becomes visible, even if no one can explain why. You will also notice that not everyone responds the same way. While some are drawn to you, others may feel uncomfortable without understanding the reason. This is not because you are doing anything wrong. It is because your presence highlights things they may not be ready to face. The same clarity that brings comfort to some can create discomfort in others. And both reactions are natural. This is where your understanding deepens. You begin to see that reactions are not always about you. They are reflections of what others are experiencing internally. When someone feels at ease around you, it means your presence aligns with something they are open to. When someone feels uneasy, it often means your presence is revealing something they are not ready to acknowledge. Neither response should change how you carry yourself. As you continue to move through life with this awareness, you begin to rely less on external validation. You stop needing constant feedback to confirm who you are. Instead, you start trusting what you observe, what you feel, and how situations unfold around you. This creates a kind of quiet confidence, not loud or forceful, but steady. You don't need to prove anything because what you are is already being reflected back to you in subtle ways. At the same time, this awareness requires balance. Just because you can sense how others respond to you does not mean you need to adjust yourself to fit every situation. It means you choose where to place yourself more carefully. You become more intentional with your environment, with your time, with your interactions. You begin to understand that where you place your presence matters as much as how you carry it. And as this understanding grows, something else begins to happen that is harder to ignore. It no longer shows up only in interactions with people or responses from others. It begins to show up in your patterns, in your routines, in moments that repeat themselves with unusual consistency. Times when you wake up without knowing why. Moments that feel like they carry meaning even when nothing is happening on the surface. At first it may seem like coincidence, but as it continues you start to question whether it is something more. And once you begin to pay attention to it, you realize it is not random at all. It is something that connects you to a deeper rhythm, something that operates beyond what you see during the day. And this is where your awareness begins to move into an entirely different level. Chosen one. There is a pattern in your life that you may have tried to ignore at first, something that happens when the world is quiet and most people are asleep. You wake up at a certain hour, not because of noise, not because of discomfort, but because something inside you becomes alert. It may be 3 in the morning, sometimes closer to 4, and instead of feeling tired, your mind feels clear in a way that is different from the rest of the day. You may have turned over and tried to go back to sleep, thinking it was nothing. But after it happens again and again, it becomes harder to dismiss. At first, you might think it is stress or routine, something physical or explainable. But there is a difference between waking up restless and waking up aware. In those moments, there is a stillness around you, and within that stillness, your thoughts begin to move in a different way. You reflect more deeply. You see things from a wider perspective. Questions that felt complicated during the day begin to feel clearer. It is not that everything is solved instantly, but something shifts in how you understand it. I remember the first time I stopped trying to ignore those moments. Instead of forcing myself back to sleep, I stayed still and paid attention. There was no noise, no distraction, just a sense of clarity that I couldn't access at any other time. That was when I realized those moments were not interruptions, they were openings. They created space for awareness that the rest of the day often blocks out. Chosen one. These moments are not random. They are times when your mind is less influenced by everything around you. There is no pressure to respond, no need to react, no constant input shaping your thoughts. In that quiet, you begin to hear yourself more clearly. And sometimes you begin to understand things you were not able to process before. There are people who experience this and ignore it completely. They brush it off, go back to sleep, and continue their day as usual. But for someone like you, it continues to happen because there is something in you that is becoming more aware. You are not just reacting to your environment anymore. You are beginning to observe it from a different level. These moments can also bring insights that feel unexpected. You might suddenly understand why something in your life did not work out. You might see a situation from a perspective you hadn't considered before. You might feel a sense of direction that was not clear to you earlier. These are not dramatic changes, but they are precise, and over time they begin to shape your decisions. There is also something else that comes with this pattern. As you become more aware during these quiet hours, you start to feel more connected to your own thoughts and less dependent on external noise. The need for constant distraction begins to fade. You become more comfortable sitting with your own mind, reflecting, observing, understanding. But this is also where a new kind of awareness develops. You begin to notice that your life does not follow the same rhythm as everyone else. While others move through routines without questioning them, you start to see patterns, connections, and meanings that go beyond daily activity. You begin to realize that your path is not meant to be identical to the people around you. This realization can feel isolating at times. You may look around and see others moving forward in ways that seem straightforward, while your path feels less defined but more intentional. You may feel like you are moving at a different pace, not slower or faster, just different. And that difference can create moments of doubt if you compare yourself too much. But the truth is, your path is not unclear. It is just not conventional. You are not being guided by the same markers that most people follow. You are learning to trust something that does not always show immediate results, but leads to deeper alignment over time. As this awareness grows, you also begin to feel more comfortable being on your own. Not because you reject others, but because you no longer depend on constant interaction to feel stable. Time alone becomes a space where you can think clearly, reset, and reconnect with yourself. It is no longer something to avoid, it becomes something you value. You start to prefer depth over noise, clarity over distraction, meaning over routine. Conversations that once felt normal may start to feel empty if they lack substance. Environments that once felt acceptable may begin to feel out of place. And instead of forcing yourself to adapt, you begin to step back and choose differently. This is where many people misunderstand you. They may think you are distant or withdrawn when in reality you are becoming more intentional. You are no longer placing yourself in situations that do not match who you are becoming. And that is not disconnection, it is alignment. As you continue to move in this direction, something becomes more stable within you. You stop chasing constant activity. You stop needing to fill every moment. You become more focused on what actually matters to you, even if it looks different from what others expect. And in that stability, you begin to see your life more clearly, not as a series of random events, but as a pattern that is slowly revealing itself. You begin to understand that every experience, every moment of confusion, every period of isolation has been shaping how you see and move through the world. And just when you start to become comfortable with this understanding, another realization begins to surface. It is not just about how you think, how you feel, or how you move through life. It is about who you are becoming as a result of all of this. And that realization brings you to a point where you no longer question whether you are different. You begin to understand why. Chosen one. When you reach this point, something settles inside you in a way that is different from anything you've felt before. It is not loud, it is not dramatic, but it is steady. You stop asking why you are different and begin to accept that you are. And that acceptance changes how you move through everything. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself to people who do not understand you. You no longer try to shrink your awareness just to make others comfortable. Instead, you begin to stand in who you are, quietly but firmly. There was a time when I thought being accepted meant becoming easier for others to understand. I would adjust how I spoke, how I reacted, even what I chose to notice just to avoid standing out too much. But over time, that became exhausting. It created a gap between who I was and how I presented myself. And that gap is where confusion grows. The moment I stopped trying to close that gap by changing myself and instead accepted it as part of my identity, everything began to align. Not immediately, not perfectly, but clearly. Chosen one, you are reaching that same point. You are beginning to see that your difference is not something to fix. It is something to understand and use. Every sign you have experienced, the awareness, the intuition, the sensitivity, the patterns, they are all part of how you navigate life. They are not separate traits, they are connected. And when you start to see them as a whole, instead of isolated moments, you begin to understand your direction. This is also where your relationships begin to change in a more noticeable way. You become less interested in surface-level connections. You start to value conversations that carry meaning, interactions that feel real, people who understand without needing everything explained. And at the same time, you become more aware of what does not match your energy. Not in a judgmental way, but in a clear way. You can recognize when something is not aligned without needing to analyze it for hours. There will be people who drift away during this time, not because of conflict, but because the connection no longer fits where you are going. And there will be others who enter your life in ways that feel natural, not forced. These changes can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you are used to holding on to connections out of habit or history. But as you continue to trust what you feel, you begin to see that these shifts are not losses. They are adjustments. You also begin to understand rejection differently. What once felt personal starts to feel directional. When something does not work out, when someone does not choose you, when a situation closes unexpectedly, you start to see it as part of your path, rather than something against you. That perspective removes a lot of unnecessary weight. It allows you to move forward without carrying everything as a burden. At the same time, your sense of independence becomes stronger. Not in a way that isolates you from others, but in a way that stabilizes you. You are no longer relying on constant reassurance. You are not looking outside for answers to things you already feel inside. This creates a kind of balance where you can connect with others without losing yourself in the process. There is also a quiet confidence that begins to form. Not the kind that needs to be shown or proven, but the kind that comes from understanding your own process. You know that not everyone will understand you, and you become okay with that. You know that your path will not look the same as others, and you stop comparing it. That confidence does not make you distant, it makes you grounded. And as this grounding becomes part of your daily life, you begin to see everything differently. Situations that once confused you start to make sense in hindsight. You recognize patterns in your experiences. You see how certain moments led to specific realizations, how certain challenges shaped how you think and respond now. It becomes clear that nothing was random, even if it felt that way at the time. Chosen one. This is the point where everything connects. The difference you felt, the awareness you developed, the moments of isolation, the patterns in your life, they all begin to form a clear picture. And that picture shows you something important. You were not separated from others by accident. You were positioned differently on purpose. You are not meant to move through life the same way as everyone else. You are meant to observe more, understand more, and move with intention rather than reaction. And that requires a different kind of awareness, a different kind of patience, and a different kind of trust. As you continue forward, you will still face moments of uncertainty. There will still be times when things are not immediately clear. But the difference now is that you trust yourself in those moments. You no longer panic when you do not have all the answers. You know that clarity comes with time, and you are willing to wait for it instead of forcing it. And that is where your strength truly shows. Not in how much you control, but in how well you can remain steady while things unfold. That steadiness allows you to move through life without being thrown off by every change. It allows you to stay aligned even when the path is not obvious. When you look back at everything you have experienced, it starts to feel less like confusion and more like preparation. Every moment where you felt out of place, every time you questioned yourself, every situation that did not make sense at the time, it all contributed to where you are now. And where you are now is a place of understanding. You are no longer asking if you are different. You know that you are. And more importantly, you are beginning to understand what that difference means for your life. Chosen one, feel the weight of what has just been revealed to you. This is not information you simply heard, this is confirmation you were meant to receive. You are not walking through life randomly. You are standing in a kairos moment, a divinely appointed time where awareness is turning into alignment, and alignment is preparing you for what is next. Everything you've experienced, every sign, every feeling, every moment of difference, it was never meant to confuse you. It was meant to awaken you. And now that you see it, you cannot unsee it. Now that you understand it, you are responsible for walking in it. Anointed one. There is a shift already in motion. Doors you cannot see are being positioned. Connections you have not yet met are being aligned. And the path that once felt uncertain is beginning to take form beneath your steps. Stay grounded, stay aware, stay faithful to what you feel, even when it doesn't fully make sense yet. Because what is unfolding in your life is not forced, it is guided. You are not alone in this journey. There are others walking this same path, discovering these same truths, rising into this same awareness. If this message spoke to your spirit, leave a simple 777 in the comments as your confirmation. And if you feel led, stay connected here so you don't miss what is still being revealed for your journey. Chosen one, walk forward with clarity because you now know you were never like the rest.